afterwards, like we were surfing San Onofre, and it was just like super small and shitty. And we're talking about this. I think what we're talking about now. And I remember you're going like, I wonder if these people in the lineup, if they're hearing our conversation, they probably just think we're out of our minds, right? Like,
Yes.
they probably don't even understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to like talk. Remember, we were talking to each other about like those waves and shit.
But there was so much like bad, and there was so much hurt, and like, oh man, because just dealing with Scion being dead, and then
Zion, my brother, Tahiti is such a play. Like that was the first time I've been back since my brother passed away, and I was staying in his room that we would always stay at. His board was there, and just like, fuck, it was real. I feel like he saved me there.
Yeah, well, just the energy was just like going so gnarly. It was like uncontrollable, and like I would have never signed up for it. But now just looking at like the incidences and the history of what happened, and then our life story together and all this shit, I just look at it and I'm like, God, I don't have that with anybody. And like, it's.
I know, isn't that crazy? And just the whole like, I mean, it's just our relationship, how we became friends and all that, with my brother and like your dad and stuff. It's I don't think people know that. I don't know. I mean that.
It was
that story, like how I was a fan of you and your brother way before I met you guys. And your dad is the person who would. Me and my brother first came to California. He would take us to lowers, and give us grips, and video us and that trussels, and he was friends with my dad and stuff back in the day. In like the 60s and 70s, and that's how that whole thing all got created. It's all because of your.
That's what I mean. It started with your dad and my dad and your uncles, and then he would pick you up. I wasn't really surfing at the time too much. I was riding motorcycles and whatever. But he would be all, oh, these kids are gonna have.
Motorbikes. I was like, oh, I want to be like Nate. Fucking motorbikes, crusty. You're just starting the whole crusty thing, bro. And you should tell that story too about your whole. You need to tell the people about your whole trend, like that time in Tahiti where you're married and you're like this is the turning point in your life from going from being a freestyle motorbike pioneer, which you were starting it with those guys straight up, Trigger, Larry, Lincoln, you were the innovator creation of that whole style. And then you went to Tahiti, and then you caught that wave in the heat, and that turned you in a whole nother direction of life.
Yeah, I was talking to Braden about that the other day, and like how when the waves got big, because I got the 210s, I made it from the.
You gotta tell people, explain that story of going from the, because rest in peace, Trigger Gump. I became friends with him, and it was only because of you, all the stories I've heard from you. So when I moved over here and like we became friends, like, so I heard a different side of the story. He's like, oh, me and Nate going to fucking Anaheim 1. I was his mechanic, and fucking, and the way that you guys all met, it's like you guys were in line, and I think I want to say Jeff Emming might have cut to sign in, and you're like, fuck this, and then Larry saw that, and it's like, oh, blah blah blah, and then you guys you became friends, and then you guys started doing that whole deal.
Right. No, there was a lot of stuff that we did, and Trig was my dear friend. My mom would let me go with him when I was like 12 years old, and he had a car, it was painted like a zebra, and it would say it's a jungle out there on the hood. But for some reason, he was a skater, and so we skated a lot, and then he got me into riding, and then we rode, and then he ended up going on to, I quit riding in Tahiti because I was like, oh, if I make it through the second round of the main event, I'm going to try and be a surfer. But then I made it all the way into the main event. And then into the second or third round of the main event, I got the 210s, but I was there because I rode for Gotcha France for motocross, and the Gotcha France was having the Tahiti contest.
Is that what you rode for Gotcha France for motorbike, not surfing?
Yeah.
No fucking way. That's the time when me, you, and my brother were hanging out.
I think that was after.
That was after, but I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know that they were sponsoring you for motorbike.
Yeah.
I knew you were dope at motorbike because the footage I seen from Jimmy.
But then Trig went on to doing that world record jump. He went 277 feet far, but he still holds the highest record for 80 feet high.
Above, yeah?
Yes, and so then he came home.
So back to the story of you. So that the freestyle motocross, like you're doing Anaheim, like you did Anaheim 1 before, right?
Yeah, I did Anaheim. I did Seattle. I raced at Washougal.
Yeah,
but
you're really good. And
but I was still a full liability.
Like that about you, you know what I mean? Like I do. That's why I fucking ride motorbikes, is because of you. You know, I was looking. You want to do what the person you look up to does.
Yeah, no, those were good times.
And you were badass. I remember seeing a video of you trying to do a 360 on a motorbike. In what year was that?
96. 96.
What?
96. 96. 96.
Yeah, like we're up like.
So that's another thing too that I was telling, because I interviewed Colby Raha, who has.
Yeah, I just talked to Kobe last night.
But he has that world record, 55 feet. But I was telling him that I was doing foot plants, and he knows it too. But I actually invented the trick of going up and coming down. But it's crazy to see, like, now they go 55 feet high instead of like 4 feet high.
Yeah. So that innovation part of that whole part, you were right there in the beginning of it, like, you know.
Yeah, no.
The motorbike freestyle, and the world, no one ever talks about that.
Well, I don't know. I'm talking to Bruce because, you know, that's the story we're getting after.
Okay, so
back to you.
Hey, do you like how I turned this interview around?
Yeah, I do.
People need to know about you too, you know, like fuck.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that at someday. But
keep going on that about the Tahiti, how it changed you from being a motocross guy to I was there with you. That's why, like, remember, that's when we became like better, like good friends.
Yeah,
because we stuck around after the contest, and I remember you let me. I remember one of your boards.
No,
what board did you let me have? And I got a poster on it.
We traded boards.
Was it a Mayhem, right?
But what about when Grushka at the casino, when he gave me the $20 because all you guys were gambling, and I'm like, I don't gamble, fucking this gambling's stupid, and they're like, oh, and then it was the fucking, I'm all, how do you play roulette? And they're all, here's
your birthday number, right?
Yeah, and I'm all, fuck, roulette. He's all, bet a number or a color, but the number have higher odds. I'm all, oh, that's easy, 6. And I put the 20 down on 6, and it spun around and dropped in 6, and it was like 28 to 1 odds, and then everybody was screaming, and then we all got kicked out of the casino.
Yeah, went to the casino straight over to Monorock.
Yeah.
And that was before the contest even started.
No, I think that was right after, because we were kind of celebrating.
Was it?
But you probably have a better memory.
No, I swear it was like, yeah, you know, I don't know. I thought it was right when I got there, to tell you the truth.
You did, physically.
Yeah, that was before the contest. Like, you had this, that trip was a changing point in your life, I believe. You know?
Yeah,
like,
it sure was. I had 2 of my most life-changing moments.
At that time, you went to Tahiti, you were married, just freshly married, and no one really knew that, and you're like, what'd you tell Trey? I'm going on a surf trip and I'm not coming back.
Yeah, fuck this is what I said. I'm not working for a living. That's what I told him, because I was working at my dad's.
Yeah, that's something I never wanted to do, is live in a 9-to-5 box office job. But anyways, Tahiti, that whole trip, you put the money in roulette, it hit, you got on the contest main event, and then you won, you got those waves, and you're like, oh, I'm going to be a pro surfer after this bitch. Yeah?
Yep, that's right. And then it was like Braden, Chava, Brock. And so that was the other thing too. Do you remember after the contest when it got huge and Braden would be like, imagine towing into this. Imagine if you just used a jet ski. And then Hank was the only person with a jet ski there. But then I remember looking over and seeing Noah Johnson, Sean Briley, and Brock Little, like after the contest, go out into the abyss and go do something. But I don't know what they did, but they were definitely catching huge waves.
Yeah, because like right after that, like I want to say right after that, like they towed into Sapinas. Remember that? Like Conan Hayes. Was it Conan or
no.
Noah?
Poto.
Remember those waves, Poto and them?
Yeah.
They towed into it. Looked like Chopo, but it wasn't. It was Sapinas.
Yeah, it was bigger than Chopo.
Bigger. It was gnarlier. It was in that Jack Johnson made a video, and who caught those waves? Was it?
I don't know, but it was John Roseman and Conan was in the same magazine as the Tahiti thing, and they were the ones who were towing in at Cloudbreak, and that's why I brought the 10-foot board to Cloudbreak, because I remember seeing those photos.
The photo is behind the bar at Tavarua. You'd always see that when you're like, in your mind, you'd always look at that going like, how the fuck could I get in that thing? Like, you know what I mean? Everyone thought that, like, how, yeah, that's why you brought the 10-foot board, but you know what I mean? You know that photo I'm talking about?
Yes, but it was in that toe swell was in the same magazine as that Chopo contest in '97 or whatever. And I just remember seeing the opening spread, and it was like Conan, and then John Roseman had a picture in the back, but it was like 20-foot solid Tavarua. And I remember thinking, oh, it gets like that. I'm bringing a 10-foot board. And then sure enough, it was like,
I was tripping when you brought that board. I was like, what? The only time I ever think about reaching a 10-foot board is at Waimea or something.
right on. So, hey, this is what I want to ask you too, because those are great. I know you're just kind of back from some recovery, and we're so thankful for where you're at in your life right now. And I know the whole world wants to hear from Bruce, and the whole world wants to see the greatest comeback ever in surfing. Not to put any pressure on your shoulders, but what?
BJ Penn said you can't call it a comeback if you didn't go anywhere.
Okay, well, fuck. What about the alien? What about the alien show, light show that we've seen in Vegas? So, yeah, there you go. No, but what's your plans? What are you up to? What are you up to? And fucking, what's your plans? And how do you feel?
I'm just cruising. Got a new sponsor, Dark Sport. There's these guys. They're out of Torrance. They're bunch of they're a bunch of cool people, and it's a brand. It's not just one typical thing. It's a brand, and these guys are cool, and they're giving. I don't know. I'm excited. You know, I wasn't thinking of any sponsor that I was interested in. You know what I mean? And then these people came, and at first I was like, I was still kind of tripping out, but then after, Alan Boy, I know him from back in the day, and it's his nephews, Alan Larson, and they're all such cool people, and they're good people, and they're, I don't know, I guess they had my posters on the wall and stuff, and as growing up, so I was like, okay, that's cool, and so they believe in me, and here we are, I'm going with them, and we're gonna see where it takes us.
I saw that. I love
cool
to see that.
Them, like on the team. I think they've got Peter Mel, John Mel, Max Holloway, his wife, Koa. But yeah, it's Brandon Wolf. Like these. It's not just one. My friend Lyle Nicely. It's just a bunch of characters. You know what I mean?
I saw that, and I was super stoked because I think it fits you well, and I was really stoked to see that they sponsored Peter Mel, who's been a lifetime of like going gnarly, just the underdog.
Yeah, it's crazy because Peter Mel's dad and my dad were friends.
Of course, they had the first surf shop in Santa Cruz, Freeline.
Yeah.
So that's cool. You got a new sponsor, and you're gonna be surfing and coming around and hanging out and fucking being Bruce Irons.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be doing me, and.
Okay. Well, you know how much we love you.
Love you, Nathan. I love Nathan Fletchers and the Fletchers and the whole. I like what you're doing here, Nathan. It's cool, like, because you're a very interesting person that people don't. Or they do, but there's a lot of things that people want to know the stories of things. Even like I do, like even with your brother, like becoming friends with your brother, like just recently I was telling you, I was like him telling me about his growing up and on the North Shore of Oahu, like how that all happened, being at the Jerry Lopez house with Jerry's mom who lived there on the second floor, ran the house and just was a teacher, and him being a little white Holly, I'm growing up as a Holly on Kauai, like what he went through. It's like, I went through the same emotions that you guys went through, what I mean? In him, like growing up there in Hawaii, it's really, that's another time, another story, but like, yeah, so it's pretty cool to hear it from his mouth, because I always like looked up to him and heard stories and this and that. And then, you see pictures in the magazine, as a kid, you're painting stuff in your head, like, because there was no internet yet. So to actually hear it from his mouth, it really made it a lot, more visual for me.
Yeah, he dealt with a lot of bullshit, a lot of haters, people that doubted him, and he was supernatural.
Yeah, that's such a good like term, like supernatural. Yeah, he was supernatural. Like he was an alien.
Yeah.
He is. He not was. He is. and he's still doing it. That's the great thing about it. Like, he's still psyched. He's still pushing forward.
Yeah, onward and upward.
Onward and upward.
Yes.
Think fast.
This guy. Anyways, I love you, Bruce, and
I love you, Nate.
have a great day. The world's so happy for you, and fucking we
The
can't
world's happy. I'm happy. We're all happy.
Yes, that's the main thing. So keep it up. Stay in
All
touch.
right,
Later, bro.
Let's go on a trip.
Adios. Thank you.
Thank you.